Dear friends, welcome to the value added course program. So, as part of this value added course, data analysis using Python, we are in the fourth module. The fourth module focuses on introduction to object oriented programming. So, to discuss introduction to object oriented programming, we must first know what is procedure oriented programming. If we understand the differences between procedure oriented programming versus object oriented programming, it will be helpful you to understand the concepts in object oriented programming. So, as I said in my introduction part, we first discuss what is procedure oriented programming. In procedure oriented programming, normally a program consists of many functions. Here you can see I have taken a C program. In this C program, there is a main function. The main function calls two other functions, fact and sum. So like this, in procedure oriented programming, there will be many functions are made up of, and the main function will try to call the other functions. But our focus here is we are moving from this procedure oriented programming to object oriented programming. The idea behind of moving the object oriented programming is the procedure oriented programming will not suitable for real world problems, and our data is not contained in a single unit. In object oriented programming, there are two main concepts. One is class, another one is object. Before going to the actual definition, first we must know what is inside the class. A class has two things. One is data, we can also call it as variables. The second one is methods, we can also call them as member functions. So these member functions will try to act on the data. For example, take a person as a class. We are giving a name person. So this person may have the variables like he may have a name, he may have a age, or he or she may have a gender. Everything we call it as data or variables. And this data can be used to do some methods. This person can able to walk, this person can able to write. Whatever he are doing, we call them as method. So as per the definition, we can say or we can consider the class as the blueprint for the object. We can consider the class as the blueprint of the object. So in this diagram, you can know that there is a class person. The person class has many data members like name, age, city, and gender. And this person class has methods like eat, study, sleep, and play. Then what is these two things? They are called objects for this class person. So here, for your understanding, I have created two objects. The first object is known as with the name John, and the second object is known with the name Desi. So these two objects will possess all the attributes defined in the person class. See here, this object John has a name John, age 35, city Delhi, and gender as male. Similarly, the object Desi has also name, age, city, and gender. So we know from this point what is a class. A class is nothing but a blueprint for the object. Now we define what is an object. An object is nothing but an instance of a class. So from this previous point, so this John and Desi are nothing but they are instance from the person class. In the object oriented programming, there are some fundamental concepts available. They are encapsulation, data hiding, and inheritance. So inheritance is a major part. We will come later in the next subsequent modules. So in this lecture, we will focus on encapsulation and data hiding. Before going to see the encapsulation and data hiding, first we will understand some of the advantages of object-oriented programming. There are 5 advantages I have listed in this lecture. They are simplicity. Any object-oriented programming has this advantage, simplicity. The structure is very simple to define and any programmer doing object-oriented programming will feel convenient to use it in the real world. The second advantage is once you define a class, you can try to add more number of classes to the base class. This concept is called extensibility. The third advantage, as we've seen in the basic concepts, data hiding. Through data hiding, we can hide the members inside the class so that other classes cannot access the members defined in a particular class. The fourth advantage is we can reuse a class. For example, I can define a class. After defining a class, I can reuse the members and methods or functions in some other classes. We will discuss this in detail in the concept of inheritance. And the final advantage of object-oriented programming is modifiable. Since a class contains members and methods, we can at any point of time, we can modify those members or the code inside the methods. So we go for the first concept, encapsulation. So encapsulation is nothing but consider it as a capsule where it contains two things. One is data and another one is method. So when we combine these two things into one container, it is called encapsulation. In Python or in some other high-level languages, we define or we term it as class. So what is the idea behind encapsulation is we can keep the data safe from the external inference or misuse. So see here as an example, I have a car. This is encapsulated with the members and methods. See, the car class has members like model, speed, engine, speed limit. These are the members, and it has methods like drive, stop, and set speed. So they are combined into one unit. This combination of members and methods is called encapsulation. The next concept is data hiding. Data hiding is nothing but we are hiding our data into a class. Why we are hiding? So that the other classes cannot access this hidden data. So we are trying to protect our data from other classes for any accidental or intentional use. So you can protect your data by two means. One is you can protect through private or public. Private data cannot be accessed from outside class. Once you define a member as private, you cannot access it from outside. But when you define it as public, you can access it from outside class. So in Python, to differentiate the private and public, the private member is represented with double underscore. So see here in this example, I have defined a class called human being. It has three members defined inside: height, weight, and BMI. So how they are defined? They are defined as private classes. But see here, I have some methods. These methods I have not declared as private. I am declared them as public. Why I have declared this as public means, see, there are other classes here, health analyzer and BMI indexer. These classes cannot be able to directly access this height. But these classes needs to set the height. So to set the height, they can set it through these member functions like set height and get height. For that purpose, to make this methods to be publicly accessed to other classes, I can make them as public, but I will not allow the member to be accessed from outside directly. So I make them as private. So in summary, in this lecture, we have discussed three things. One is what is class? Class is nothing but a template for the object, an object which is nothing but an instance of a class. And we have discussed 5 advantages of object-oriented programming and 2 important concepts, abstraction and data hiding. So dear friends, in this lecture, I focus on some of the basic concepts about object-oriented programming. In the next lecture, we will have a demonstration on how to create the objects, how to make it inside a class. These things we will discuss in detail. Thanks for hearing.